Hello, everybody. Welcome along to a very special edition of the Total Saints podcast. We're going to be taking a closer look and a player spotlight today at a new player that's just coming through the door at St Mary's. Justin Bijlow is going to be our new goalkeeper, and I've no better in the industry to give me an inside scoop on our new goalkeeper. Joe Baker is joining me from Holland. He's a Dutch reporter. He's a regular at Feyenoord as well. So welcome along to the show, Joe. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thanks a lot for having me.
No, give us. It'd be great to get your insight on our latest edition. Give me your thoughts on him as a goalkeeper, and what can we expect as Southampton fans? It's an area that we've needed to strengthen since the window opened. Really, to be honest, our main goalkeeper Gavin Bazunu got injured at the back end of last season, and we have a goalkeeper playing at the moment, Alex McCarthy, who isn't as great with his feet. And it's been an area that Southampton have really wanted to strengthen, and it looks like this is the chosen man.
Yeah, no, I think Southampton have chosen well. I think the goalkeeping market, if a club is looking for an experienced goalkeeper who's played at international level and can step straight into a role, but also trying to maybe not overspend, I think Southampton have done extremely well with this. My understanding is it's a loan deal initially, with a view to being a permanent signing. I think for around €8 million is what last I read, which, if it happens, is an absolute bargain, in my opinion. Bijlow has been, well, I'll give you a top-line summary. He's a 26-year-old Dutch goalkeeper. He's been through the entire Feyenoord youth system. They're number one from the 2018-19 season as well, until last year. And I'll get to this in more detail, when he had a fair amount of injuries over the last year or so, which caused him to actually lose his place as the Feyenoord number one to Timon Vellenver for the current Feyenoord number one. But he's an excellent goalkeeper, and he's experienced. He's captained Feyenoord before. He went to the Euros as one of the Netherlands' three goalkeepers. I personally think that he would have been a number one by now if it hadn't been for some of the injuries he's had. And that would be the one caveat I would have about Bijlow, is that recent injury record. And I think that's probably why it's a loan deal to begin with, I would say. I think he's had 11 separate injuries over the last 4 seasons and missed, my calculations are right from earlier, about 94 club international games. So that is the one caveat I would say about this. Can he step in straight away? Is he going to be match sharp? Is he over those
what were those injuries, Joe? What are they? Can you give us a little bit more of a detailed breakdown on what he suffered with over the last year or so?
Yeah, sure. So he fractured his wrist a couple of seasons ago. Came back, and then midway through last season, he suffered a similar problem again, and then also mixed in with a calf injury as well. There was an emotional game, I think I was at last season, where he finally got back to being a first teamer again, and I think his calf went, which is a shame. And he hasn't actually played. He's never played more than 30 games in a season. However, he's still only 26 years old, and my hope, anyway, as a big Bijlow fan, is that he can now put his issues behind him. And he's ready to kick on. I think in terms of the profile of a goalkeeper, he probably ticks a lot of boxes that you would want. He's a top quality keeper. I think the last time he played a full season without injury issues, I think it was the 2022 season where he played quite regularly. He was third for the most clean sheets. He's very experienced. He's been playing for the Feyenoord, as I said, for 6 seasons now, on and off. So a lot of games behind him. And I think it's a move. It's one of those rare transfers. I think it kind of suits both clubs and the player himself. Bijlow's at a weird point in his career. He was a fantastic young keeper coming through academy. He was the number one at the club. He was actually asked to be captain and turned it down, interestingly. Not that I don't think that says anything about him not being a leader, because I believe he is a leader in the dressing room. But then he got these really bad injuries. He's lost his place as a Feyenoord number one. He was potentially fortunate to go to the Euros in the Dutch squad. And he's actually started off this season again on the bench. He was on the bench for their last game against Sparta Rotterdam. I think that was planned. But he's at a point in his career now where he probably needs to step up. I think I'm maybe surprised he didn't move sooner. I think it's been great for him in the Premier League to prove himself. And I think Southampton are getting an excellent goalkeeper. And I think Feyenoord are getting a good deal as well, because they've got their own number one now.
Joe, I want to talk to you about his strengths as a goalkeeper. What would you say are his real strengths as a goalkeeper?
Well, I know you mentioned before some of the issues of Alex McCarthy around some of the things was the ball at his feet. And I think straight away with Bijlow, you are getting an upgrade on that. I think he's a very good passing goalkeeper. Likes to play out from the back, confident on the ball. But what I would say is it's interestingly not an absolutely key vital part of his game. I looked at some of the Opta stats before, and from the last full season he played without too many injuries a couple of years ago. I think it was like 1 in 4 of his passes out from the back would be longer than 40 yards. So in other words, he's not afraid of going long if he needs to. You have some goalkeepers who just insist on passing out from the back, even when it's not wise to do so. I saw over the weekend Mads Herbertson for Leicester put Valpas in a ridiculous position trying to pass it out when he should have just gone long. So he doesn't mind messing around with it and getting rid of it in old school style as well. And he's very much a sweeper keeper. I've been to the club a fair few times, and he plays very high. He's quite fast. He's not afraid to come out of the box. Probably more mobile than McCarthy in that sense. I think from the stats as well, he was he's in the top 10 for defensive actions outside of the penalty area. So in other words, he's not just a box goalkeeper. He's unafraid to step out if he needs to as well. A good shot stopper. I think sometimes with goalkeepers, we get so caught up with how good they are on the ball, and we forget actually the main job is to keep the thing out of the net. And he's actually a very good shot stopper. His post-shot expected goals is very, very good. And also I would say, finally, in terms of his main attributes, he's very good at dealing with crosses. So I'm not counting last season because he missed so much of it from injuries, but from the season before, I think he was in the top 10% in the league for highest stopping crosses in terms of coming and claiming the ball. So he's not one of those goalkeepers. We'll use an example of David De Gea, who quite likes to sit on his goal line. Very much a 6-yard box goalkeeper. I think Bijlow likes to come to dominate the penalty.
He commands his box.
Crosses. Commands his box, exactly. I mentioned injuries. Maybe the rest issues, the calf stuff, may mean he's slightly more hesitant to be as mobile and dominant initially. But in terms of the main attributes and the things you've said the Saints are looking for in a goalkeeper, I think he ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, he definitely, the profile of him as a goalkeeper, from what you're saying, Joe, certainly is what we're looking for and what we need. When you look at his weaknesses, what are his weaknesses, do you feel? You've seen him a bit. You've been at Feyenoord a lot.
Yeah. Well, the first one, as I already mentioned, is the injury record. That would be the big red flag for me at the moment. He hasn't played regularly for the last year or so. Worst case scenario, he starts playing and the calf goes again or something else happens. And I'd be very disappointed for him if that be the case, because it's a shame to see a player's career be impacted from injuries. I would say, in terms of his work on the ball, he does like to go long, as I say sometimes. I still think on occasions he's a little bit guilty of overplaying every now and again from the matches I've seen live with him. And I've said it's a positive that the keeper likes to come out and dominate and be a sweeper keeper. There are occasions where you're watching him and you're thinking, no, stop what you're doing, go back. And the judgment around that sometimes can be a little bit off. And Arna's the best example in the Premier League. It's great having keepers who want to do that, but once you commit, you've got to make sure you're committing at the right time to do that. But I think, with a lot of Dutch players, they start playing so young in the first team because of how the Eredivisie is set up and how much opportunity they give to academy players. You almost forget how young some of these guys are. Bijlow's still only 26. That's actually very young for a goalkeeper. He could be around for another decade, right? So if Southampton are happy to go, you know what, he's not the finished product. He's a bit of a rough diamond. There might be some problems this season every now and again. He might make the odd mistake. He might get the odd injury. But if he does enough over the course of the season to show that he can be a long-term number one, he's Premier League quality, you could be a great keeper for the Saints for the next 5 to 10 years if you wanted to do that. And I think he will want to prove himself. Sometimes teams will make a move, and I get the impression of doing it to the Premier League just because they can say that they can play in the Premier League. Bijlow's career is at a crossroads. This is a big move for him. It's important for him that he makes it work, and I think that's an exciting thing for Southampton.
Yeah, he's coming into a really good goalkeeping department. Southampton have a really good goalkeeping coach, and Dean Thornton, highly thought of over here in England. What sort of team do you feel he'd play well in? What's going to suit him as a goalkeeper?
Well, my understanding from the 2 Southampton games so far this season, did you play a back 3 in both, or was it just against Newcastle?
No, we played a back 3 again yesterday. Reverts to a 4 at times. Late in the game, we swapped it to a 4. I don't think we'll be able to persist playing that way, but we have played that way in the last 2 games. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of style of play, and what would suit him, it's worth keeping in mind that Arne Slot, new Liverpool coach, absolutely loved Bijlow. He was his man. He was his goalkeeper, and Slot played a way at final that was very high intensity, moving the ball quickly. Playing out from the back when you need to, but also being direct when you need to and adapting situations. I think a back 4 would suit Bijlow better than a back 3. I think he needs to have centre halves who are comfortable dropping deep to pick up the ball. I think it would be beneficial to have fullbacks. I think you certainly do with people like Kyle Walker-Peters as an example. Fullbacks who like to get high and wide. He likes a long diagonal to get the pitch in times as well. With final, to have people like Quinton Hartman, Geralda, fullbacks who would push on quite a lot. I think if Southampton can try to imitate that style of play a little bit, that would work nicely as well. And I think with any ball-playing goalkeeper, having that someone in the middle who's happy dropping in between the centre halves as well. I think it's maybe William Smallbone who's
Flynn Downs plays in that role. Yeah, Flynn Downs plays in the 6 a lot, and he likes to go and get the ball from the goalkeeper, get on the half turn, and sort of open up the play. He's somebody that will always like to go and receive the ball. Will Smallbone plays a little bit more in the 8. Can play in the 6, but not so comfortable in it. But they're all very comfortable with the ball at their feet. Certainly Flynn Downs.
Yeah, I think what you just said there hits the nail on the head. Defensively, to really make it work with Bijlow on the ball, you want your defenders to be comfortable receiving it, and also pushing high. A high line is definitely going to be important. It's a goalkeeper, as I said, he likes to step out and he likes to dominate his box. He won't be wanting his back 4 sitting too deep. Now, there's risks that come with that, of course. A new team back in the Premier League, high line. There can be some red flags around that with pacey attacks. I saw the game earlier today with Wolves playing a high line the other day, where in the second half they were all over the place and Chelsea scored 4 goals in about 5-10 minutes. It can happen in the Premier League. I think a high line would be far more beneficial. But I think with Southampton centre-backs, I think Harwood Bellis, you'll know better than me, but I think he's quite a mobile centre-half.
Yeah, he's a very good centre-back.
You've got good options defensively who could play in that way, I think.
No, I'm interested to hear he's a sort of goalkeeper that's likely to try and get us up the field a bit, which is probably going to be needed. We sit quite deep and play the ball across our back 4, back 5 quite a lot. We did that at the weekend. We need to get further up the field. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it's a big move. You spoke, Joe. It's a big move to the Premier League. Do you feel he's ready for the Premier League? It's a relentless league. It's a brutal league. Southampton, a team that he's going to be a busy goalkeeper. There's no doubt about it. We're going to be down there, right in amongst it, scrapping for our lives. Do you feel he's a goalkeeper that's ready for the scrap, ready for the Premier League?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've maybe been a little bit negative about him in terms of his injury record, but this is someone who's captain final in the UEFA Conference League final a couple of years ago. He's played at a high level for a long time, and as I said, he want to improve himself in the Premier League. I think earlier in the summer, I don't know if you remember this, Arsenal were linked with him. I think Arsenal wanted to sign him as a backup goalkeeper. And at the time, I've accepted as a Dutch fan long ago that I'm going to have to get used to seeing players I like leaving to the Premier League. But I didn't get that move at all. I was really hoping it wouldn't happen. Bijlow is not a number 2 at the moment. I don't care what club he's at. He's not a number 2. He's a number 1. And I think it was a really good opportunity for him at Southampton. As I said, I think it's a transfer that suits all parties. The loan idea before a permanent move, I think, is really, really intelligent. I think it's at Southampton acknowledging some of the risks associated with it. But yeah, he's got everything you need to be a top goalkeeper in the Premier League. He's physically imposing. He wants to dominate his box. He's been a captain, so he's a leader both in the dressing room and on the pitch. He's happy getting on the ball. He's happy going long if he needs to. He's a rough diamond, as we've said, but that's only because of his injuries. There's injury problems the last couple of years. If he hadn't had them, I generally think he would have been the number 1 for the Netherlands instead of Bart Verbruggen from Brighton Hove Albion.
No, I'm really excited by the signing. Joe, I can't thank you enough for your time. You've been absolutely outstanding today on the Total Saints podcast. So thank you for taking the time out to give us a lowdown on Southampton's new goalkeeper. It's been a pleasure, and we will catch up with you, no doubt, sometime very soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Martin. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.